Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here, and once again it's Tuesday, which means it's time for my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012 The Nick Show episode review. And this episode review is going to be for the episode 109, The Gauntlet. Before I get into the review, just a quick little update on my channel. I did not put out a Korra episode commentary last week because what happened was the Papercraft video took so long to upload. The upload failed, I think 2 times. It was meant to be up like Thursday night, but it ended up going up like Saturday morning. So that explains that. Then the podcast, uploading that last night, took way longer than expected to, so I didn't have like any time to put that up. But anyway, on to this episode review 109, The Gauntlet, the 9th episode of season 1 of The Turtles. Now, this episode, I have to opening thoughts, I guess. Overall, I really liked this episode. In terms of like just what this episode covered and like what it did, it was definitely one of the best episodes of the whole kind of series. What makes it for me not the best episode of the series is there's 2 decisions in this episode made by the characters that just left me kind of going like, really? And I'll talk about those right now to kind of start it off. The 2 decisions that like kind of in an otherwise amazing episode, near perfect episode otherwise, these 2 decisions just kind of really stood out to me as kind of like just 2 not as good points in the middle of an otherwise excellent episode. The first one was obviously they went to go save April's dad, and then they didn't because he stayed behind to basically cover their escape. Now my problem with this was that not that April's dad wasn't saved in the end, but it was how they did it, how they shot it, and the way that they did it was that there was about 4 or 5 Krang droids coming at them, and because of that they didn't fight, and April's dad picked up one of the guns and defended them during the escape. my problem with it was that there was only 5 of them, like 5 Krang droids, and we've seen the Turtles take on so many of them before. Yes, they're backed into a corner, but we've seen them in a corridor just like that take on Krang droids with guns. So, like, I didn't really believe that it was that big of a threat that it would stop the escape attempt. That's my big problem with that scene. Now, add to that the fact that from shot to shot the number of Krangs were changing all the time. At first like 4 walk in, then there's 5, then there's like 3 other ones come in, different coloured, and like it just kind of like was this just confusing scene as to like how many Krang there were, why this was happening and stuff like that. I'm not annoyed that they didn't just straight out get April's dad, but when I was watching the episode I definitely was like, oh wow, they're gonna kind of solve this plot quickly and save her dad straight away. And I was like, because their escape seems to be going fairly easily. And then like when I kind of look back, start concentrating on the episode again, I'm just like, April's dad is picking up the gun, defending her eggs. I'm just like, really, what? And then add to that April's dad, he himself took out about 3 or 4 of them that were right there, and there was only about 5 of them. So yeah, there was time to escape. Like the Turtles could have done that, they could have done that, but anyway, it didn't ruin the episode for me. I'll talk about the other one right now. That was more towards the end of the episode. Bradford's decision to stick his sword into the glass of the mutagen bomb and basically mutate himself in Zevver. Now, he didn't also mean to mutate himself in Zevver. He probably didn't even know what the mutagen was, but it wasn't water or anything like that, so I didn't know what he was doing. Add to that the mutagen, like what he says is that like, if I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna take you down with me. And as he does that, he puts his sword into the thing. The Turtles don't even get hit with any of the mutagen. They're standing off to the side, and it's just Zevver and Bradford that get washed away. So even the whole thing that they were setting up throughout the episode, that Bradford would rather die than kind of live on with like no honor. Like because they've set it up that they've survived 2 being washed away before, this didn't put them really in any danger. So like it was just this baffling decision, like as to why they did it so quickly. Just like, and they were mutated. I've no problem with them actually being mutated. It was just they kind of took away from the seriousness of what it was. Our two of the main villains of the show being mutated as just one of many points they covered in this episode. It just felt like they just ticked that box, mutate them right now, instead of making it maybe a big thing on its own. I didn't feel like that, so that's I just those two decisions just really stood out to me in an otherwise amazing episode. One final little kind of negative point, I suppose, would be that when they actually meet her father in the Krang hideout, they kind of get into a thing and they're kind of asking about like what are they doing with the mutagen? And he reveals that they're modifying it because it didn't work the way it did in their own dimension because of different properties. But then the fact is, like, April's dad was captured because he's a scientist, and the scientists are working to modify the mutagen, yet he doesn't know exactly what they're doing. So is April's dad just a prisoner there, and he's not actually working on the mutagen because of the escape attempt that the turtles had, and they nearly got him, but they got April? So it's just a few things in the episode that just made me go like, what? You need to... all three of these things, I think they needed to give him a bit more time. But anyway, onto the good parts of this episode. I like the turtles' overconfidence at the start, and that they realised that they pretty much won everything. They've learned a lot of lessons, but they are confident in their skills and slightly overconfident, and they do beat Zebra and Bradford. They do beat the Krang, they escape, but they're overconfident is shown when they don't get April out, despite the kind of oddness of the situation. Just back on that for a second, I would have been fine if they just added like double the amount of Krang droids with April's father thing. That would have been fine. And then, like, as it went on, the Shredder was the one to show them that they were overconfident. That was good. So I did like the little turtle character development that they had in this episode. And the whole mutagen bomb thing, like, the whole plot of this episode, them first going to save April's father, then finding out about the mutagen bomb. I liked that the episode was so action-packed and dramatic, and that, like, stuff was happening all the time. That's the kind of best part of this episode. So much was happening. It really was a gauntlet in terms of the amount of stuff the turtles had to do, and that's what I liked. The Krang using the mutagen bomb as like a test for their new kind of formula for the mutagen was good, and it kind of still works the exact same, because basically the way it worked on Zevver and Chris Bradford was the last animal they touched, they got mutated into. Obviously, Bradford was just kind of bit by Shredder's dog. Zevver touched a fish, and they got mutated that way. I liked April's emotion throughout this episode in relation to her father, and that she was, the second they heard he was there, she was eager to go get him, and when she saw he was staying back, the real emotion came out from her. I really did like that. And then, when they had to leave, she hugs Donnie and stuff like that. I did really enjoy that. This episode also had like probably the funniest kind of continuous kind of sketch throughout an episode ever, with Mikey and the ninja smoke bombs. That was just absolutely brilliant. The whole montage when he started going crazy with them all over the place was brilliant. And then they stopped the montage and they continue it on, just pause it for a second. And it's like, I'll go get Splinter. And like, you think, oh, he's just gonna like go out of the room and Splinter's gonna walk in, but no. Immediately as the kind of smoke disperses, Splinter's there, and it's just like, oh, he's in on the act too. And I like that this Splinter has that kind of sense of humor. He gets that they're teenagers and like plays jokes on them and stuff like that as well. I really do like that. And then the whole thing, he'd be making mistakes the whole episode, like setting off the alarm, and then he picks the green wire, obviously because they're turtles and they're green, and it works out, and they're like, oh, Donnie was correct, and Mikey was correct. That was really good. And then the kind of best part of the episode probably was the Shredder, his kind of introduction as a fighter in the series. I really did like that fight and how kind of brutal it was, in terms of like the Shredder was ready to kind of kill the turtles if they were, and it was only this turtle's skill that kind of stopped him really from being killed. And then the Shredder, distracted by his two henchmen being mutated, was all that got him away. And I like that. I also really like that the fight wasn't completely one-sided in that it was 4-on-1, four turtles against just one shredder, and that he was a bit on the defensive at some parts, but he was just better than them at that point in time. It was really good. I really like the shredder and what he's doing, and like overall, this episode just leaves us with like a lot of stuff happening. We learned a bit more about the mutagen. The shredder's kind of involved in things now. You know, Splinter at the end says they're at war, so maybe he's going to become more involved in things than that. And we may see kind of Splinter start to fight, maybe come out with them, face the Shredder, stuff like that. And I think April, now that she's almost come so close to getting her father back, her training maybe is going to be accelerated, so she can play a bigger role in things. She seems to be a bit disappointed when like all she was allowed to do was hold the rope, and so that's kind of still there. The Turtles' overconfidence, they're going to like learn from that, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see how like Zevver and Bradford now, or Fishface and Dogpound, I believe their mutant names are going to be, how they kind of react, because Zevver's probably going to be mad at Bradford for getting them into this situation. So like really good episode overall. Just 2 or 3 little bits that just kind of made me kind of go really, and that like it's just I felt like they almost tried to cram too much into this episode. There was so much in this episode that they didn't have enough time to really give moments like April's dad staying behind, and that enough tension. Like they should have realized that they needed to put a lot more crying in to make it believable that he had to stay behind and like cover their exit. And then they should have really made it a lot more serious and big, the whole mutating Bradford and whatever, because it kind of made Bradford out to look really stupid, in that like that's his humanity gone now from this really stupid decision, and even more so that the mutagen didn't even hit them after he planned to take the turtles with him, and then like how are the turtles going to be mutated when they already are mutated? It was just this baffling decision that Bradford won, and then the dad's decision needed a bit more time. But overall, really, really good episode. I'm excited for the kind of rest of the season now. As far as I know, the show is actually taking a break until the 1st of December. Now, I don't know if that's confirmed. I heard that somewhere online, and it seemed to be the case, and that they almost wanted to take a break with this episode. This one wasn't going to air until like a week or two. So, I'll definitely keep an eye out to see, is episode 10 going to be on this weekend, but I'm not sure if it is. So, anyway, I will be back next time an episode airs with an episode review. So, thank you for watching, and bye.